Hello and welcome back to the SKOLcast. My name is Asher Whitmer. I'm here with my brother Christopher, and we are finally coming in here to wrap up the 2025-2026 NFL football season. We're two brothers who love to talk about football, particularly about the Vikings. We'd love to see them win multiple Super Bowls before we pass on from this life to the next. We missed... We've been out a couple weeks here. My wife gave birth on the 31st of December, and so we did not record that week, nor did we record the next week due to the natural flow of having a newborn in the house and also dealing with some sickness. But we wanted to jump on here and do one more episode at least before the season ends, kind of recap how the season ended for the Vikings and also look at who is left. We're recording this before Divisional Round starts on Saturday and Sunday, January 17 and 18. And we're going to do repick our Super Bowl picks because, well, for me, nobody that I had in the championship rounds, let alone the Super Bowl rounds, are in the playoffs anymore. So
who did you have?
In the championship?
Yeah.
I had the Chargers versus Colts and Eagles versus Lions. So half of my picks didn't even make the playoffs.
The Colts are devastating season.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah,
they had rough.
I mean, they were well on their way to being in the playoffs at least, but
just a precipitous downfall.
Yeah, so what is as we reflect, the Vikings end 5-0 and they end second to last. It is literally a mirror of the division a year ago. So a year ago, the Lions were the number one seed, and then the Vikings were second, Packers were third, Bears were last. Now this year, Bears are first, then it's Packers, then it's Vikings, then it's Lions, and really, one way to look at it is if the Vikings could have stopped that Bears kickoff return after they came back and had a go-ahead game win, appeared to be a game-winning drive against the Bears, then the Bears, I forget who their returner is, but had a good kick return, and they, with a few seconds left on the clock, were able to get into field goal range and beat the Vikings. That separates Minnesota not just from the playoffs, but from winning the division.
Yeah.
When you think of the roller coaster year that it was, that's pretty crazy to think about. Like that's how close they were. What are your, obviously JJ had an injury. They have that awful win against the Lions. I mean, it was a good win, but Max Brosmer once again is proving he's not NFL ready. And then JJ comes in and plays enough of the final game to look promising, look good. They get Jets his 1,000-yard season. Obviously, the Packers weren't really trying to win much at all either. But yeah, what's kind of your takeaway as the Vikings ended 5-0 and what we saw from JJ or the team as a whole?
I think somehow this Vikings team is both incredibly good and incredibly bad. And I think that this season kind of shows it. It's like a terrible season. And at times felt worse, and I think was worse than 2 years ago when Kirk got injured and we were just like flying Josh Dobbs in and shutting out the Raiders 3-0. And yet we end with a winning record, and like you said, with some caveats, very well we're like a poor special teams play away from winning the division. And we probably would have gotten smoked by whoever we played in the playoffs. We would have hosted a game. JJ McCarthy's hand would have still been injured. The Packers probably would have played a little bit more seriously. So who knows how that, like, the Packers probably would have played their starters and whatnot. So who knows how that last game against the Packers would have gone.
Yeah.
But so all that to say, it was a really weird season. I think it shows the fact that they're probably not the most competitive division in football, but our division is super competitive. I don't think the Packers were not nearly the Super Bowl team everyone had them out to be, although I do think that they would have won this playoff game if Micah Parsons would have stayed healthy. So I'm just saying that because there's a certain amount of nervousness I have in going into a new season, wondering what are the chances we get left behind by these teams that have more settled quarterbacks. So yeah, it leaves a lot of questions in the air. Like, I have a lot of questions about choices that the team made throughout the year. I have questions about the coaching, and as like someone who's not at all like a football knower, other than just very casually, it's I'm not able to have a lot of opinions. I have questions of, like, should they be overhauling some of their coaching? How are they gonna develop JJ McCarthy? They had their year-end pressers yesterday, and they were very coy, but not nearly as confident about JJ McCarthy being, like, at the end of his rookie season, or not at the end, when he got injured going into his rookie season. Kevin O'Connell said, we found our franchise quarterback. We're confident that we found our franchise quarterback. And they're still saying that he has, like, the mentality and the attitude of it, but they did not speak with that sort of confidence. They said that they want a competitive and deep quarterback room, which I think is appropriate.
Yeah, I also think people are reading into his comments a lot of what they want.
Sure.
Because what I first saw was a lot of people saying, like, oh, there's no guarantee JJ has it. And then I went and listened to his comments, and I was like,
Yeah.
to me it sounds like he's the guy, but they want a deep room, which I think is necessary.
Yeah.
Just based on what happened this year, and even 2 years ago. Yeah.
I think the way I take it is that JJ McCarthy is the starter. He's the starter coming out of the season. He's the presumptive starter going into training camp. But that I think it seems like they're leaving enough of a door open that if they brought someone in and he just, like, outshone JJ McCarthy, they would not be opposed to starting like a slightly more experienced quarterback who outplays him in leading up to the season.
Yeah, but they also have to. Like,
right.
Do you know how angry this fan base would be if they said JJ's the guy?
Yeah, if they just and I also think there's a certain amount of, like, I think of someone who's developing a guy, like, if I was in charge of developing a guy like JJ, I think there would be a certain amount of humility that I would want him to come into this offseason with. Like, hey, I did not play super well.
Yeah.
And I also missed, like, they're in just this awkward spot where Kevin O'Connell is known as the guy who said that organizations fail QBs sooner, or, like, before QBs fail organizations. And yet he is faced with someone who because of injury is kind of failing the Vikings. And yet, how do you say that when it's an injury? So in some ways you're stuck in this gray area of, like, what do we do,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think some humility, not in the sense of, like, I want JJ McCarthy to, like, feel down on himself necessarily, but just like, you know, I am going to put
Not
my
not
nose to the grindstone and improve, and also like talk with trainers, people, like, how do I stay healthy? Like,
well, that's kind of how I took it. Like, I think it's perfectly appropriate for coaching staff and the organization as a whole to communicate in such a way that McCarthy feels somewhat insecure in his
yeah,
job that he has to perform. But I didn't think, like, some of the comments I was reading, commentary I was reading, made it sound like, oh, this is just proof that they're gonna go find somebody else. Like,
you didn't take it
and
like a backhanded,
yeah, not at all. If
yeah,
anything, I just thought it was a guarded way
yeah,
of responding to the end of the. Yeah, I didn't think there was particularly anything shocking to come from KO's comments about it. That
yeah,
it's like, oh, we should expect a big splash, or like, oh, we should be angry because he's sticking with JJ. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, I think I resonate with that. I think, what happens with the defensive coordinator is huge.
yeah.
I think about, I don't know if this is the reason for the Vikings' woes, but Grant Udinsky has gotten some head coaching requests. And I remember when he
I've been
when he
noticing
was
that
in
too.
Minnesota, like, people, um well, I think it was Ben Gessling wrote an article about him that was really interesting, and and which is also how he got, I think, on the radar to be pulled away from the Vikings, ironically. Um and so some people were like, you should have fired Wes Phillips and hired Udinsky into the offensive coordinator instead of letting him leave for the Jaguars. And now I think the Browns were requesting an interview with him. I don't
I
know.
also,
I don't know that necessarily would have solved what ailed the Vikings this year, but it is always a bummer when you
yeah.
see talent. Kevin Stefanski, Mike Tomlin, Grant Udinsky, they're all former Vikings coaches. Tony Dungy.
Yeah, but I like Vikings Nation, settle down. I have this rant that I'm like, we are so driven to see a win right now.
Yeah.
We've got to see the win, that we're willing to like some of the suggestions out there. I don't know, immediately after the Steelers are bounced out of the playoffs, like, we're seeing mock-ups of Rodgers in Vikings uniforms,
Oh,
and like,
jeez.
it's setting, the stage is set and all this, and I'm like, this just proved that the guy's not it. Like, I do not want to see a year of Rodgers. Maybe that would have been wonderful, whatever. Like, I don't think, look at what happened. He got slaughtered by a tremendous pass rush. That same pass rush would the Vikings would have faced if they were going to go on a Super Bowl run. Could Rodgers have gotten the Vikings into the playoffs? Yes, I don't doubt that at all. But we're not wanting another playoff. We can win 14 games and not be as
Right.
satisfactory as what we've seen. We want playoff wins. We want to go deep. We want to see a championship. And you're going to face an intense pass rush like that. Well, guess what? The Vikings don't have an O-line to protect the old hobbled guy that trips over his blockers when he's trying to escape the pocket. Like,
Right.
that's not gonna, like, even the Vikings don't, even an improved offensive line, I'm not sure could have helped protect Rodgers from when they face the Texans or the Seahawks or the Bears. I mean, the Bears have a fairly good defense. I don't think it's tremendous. The Seahawks is probably the biggest pass rush in the NFC, but there's some tremendous pass rushing in the AFC. So I'm just like, this is, listen, the Vikings went 9-8. If this was the Jaguars, who were 4-13, and they turn around
Yeah.
and their guy that they drafted stumbles into a what did he go, 6-4 record in his first 10 games. the season's 9-8. Yes, it looks ugly, and it's like, man, there's lots of improvement that need to be made. Then it would be like, wow, this was a really good developmental year, and that's how we need to have been thinking about this year's. This is development. This is not Super Bowl window yet. It's development. Can Super Bowl window be there next year? I was hoping by the end of this year we could say, oh, yes, our window has opened. I don't think we can say that now. The question is with the QB, I think the question's bigger than that because we clearly have some holes. We have a number 2 wide receiver that can't stop getting arrested and can't hang onto the ball. We have our number 1 wide receiver that had his worst year ever. Not only the fact that he had his lowest yards, but he dropped more balls than normal. We have running backs and offensive line that continue to get injured. And so like there's a lot of pieces that need to be figured out. I do think the Vikings, like you said, are a very good team. They could go deep, but I just think a year ago, I remember seeing memes of Grant Udinsky and people like, what does this guy even do for the Vikings? And I had forgotten about that Ben Gosling article, but I remember everybody was like, "Oh, you gotta fire Wes Phillips." I don't know what he does, why he's still around.
Nobody does.
That's a legitimate question.
I think he
Nobody does.
helps with
But
play design and stuff. I think he
yeah, I think you're right. But everybody thought that Josh McCown should be promoted to offensive coordinator because he's the guru with the quarterbacks and offense, and we're going to lose him and all of this. Well, now everybody's like, what does Josh McCown even do? He needs to be fired. This is all, and everybody's looking at Grant Udinsky, which nobody knew what he did, and been like looking at him. Like, let's celebrate the fact that, hey, Flores might get a head coaching job. Grant Udinsky might get a head coaching job. Are there questions around, the development of JJ and what is the jury still out on how that's turning out? Yeah, there are, but I don't think we've seen enough to be able to say that this is a failure and this is awful. Rather, there is a culture and a environment that is being set here that produces high quality coaches and helps people improve and step up their game to the next level. Um, I'll stop there, but that's kind of my rant. Like I wanted to see a playoff win this year. By the way, just to rub it in, Jim Harbaugh with the Los Angeles Chargers is 0-2 in the playoffs. Like, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Like, give it time, give it development. I don't think the Vikings are. Yeah, I have been actually feeling rather more optimistic about the future than I did last year. I think that's because the season ended with 2 embarrassing losses, whereas this year it ended with 5 straight wins, and I would say just overall improvement. Like, we wanted to see after that Falcons game, we wanted to see JJ improve. Can he improve by the end of the year? And he did. If you take his last 5 games, I think it was, just the last 5 games of stretch, he's in the top 5 of all NFL quarterbacks in some of the key metrics. I forget exactly what they were. I think completion percentage was one of them, which is what he was really struggling with early on. And so the question of injury and health and stuff, like, that's the biggest, what do you do? It's, in a way, it's maybe out of control. Is it on him to learn how to protect himself? I don't know. I was watching CJ Stroud and who else been playing? Oh, maybe it was Malik Willis before the playoffs started. And like both of them have mechanics and stuff that is just like, hey, that kind of looks like JJ. Why don't we hear about their awful mechanics and way of
because they're not
throwing and stuff that
they're not putting up just statistically terrible. Well, Malik Willis maybe.
Well, they're not I just keep coming back to JJ McCarthy's had the biggest microscope or magnifying glass on him all year long
Yeah,
of
I
all
mean,
NFL.
he also just had like some terrible games that I think CJ Stroud didn't have as much because his team around him played a little bit better. Like JJ McCarthy, if he wasn't missing the ball, then his receivers were dropping them, and so it looks
Yeah.
like he's got a really terrible passing percentage and whatnot. Which he does, but some of it's him, some of it's his receivers, some of it's et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea is like some of the fans want, like, I've seen, and I'm sure this is a small minority. I don't know. I don't live in Minnesota, so I don't know what the local fans are saying. But
Just
like,
can I jump in on
yeah,
something real quick?
yeah,
CJ Stroud in his rookie season had a game against the Jets where he only threw for 91 yards. He had a 43.5 completion percentage and lost the game 6-30 against the Jets. Now he did have Okay, I'll shut up. He did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 300 plus yard games, including a 470 yard game. I'm just the point I was trying to make is like young QBs are gonna have those bad games.
yeah, for sure.
They're gonna have that.
Yeah. What I was gonna say though is about some Vikings fans online, at least, there's a very small, what I assume is a small minority of Vikings fans who would like to see Flores kept even at the expense of O'Connell, and that, obviously that's not gonna happen. Like, that's not gonna happen. Like, if you think that that's gonna happen, you might wish for that to happen, but if you think it's gonna happen, you're kind of dumb. But to me, it just goes to show, like, kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying about, like, needing to win now. Fans are impatient. I think fans are also, like, sometimes I think fans think that teams are just filled with, like, robots, and they forget that these are humans who form, like, psychological and emotional attachments to people, and you need, like, yes, there's a part of being a football player where you kind of have to, like, roll with the punches. You kind of have to be able to get past, like, oh, my coach got fired, I really liked him, here's a new guy, I gotta learn his scheme, blah blah blah. But, like, you don't just fire a beloved coach and then replace him with an existing coach and think that that's not going to create some, like, you're not drastically risking losing the locker room.
Yeah.
And
Especially when, like, as it pertains to the Flores O'Connell thing, like Flores has been very open about O'Connell. Like, he learned. Does anybody remember how the league thought about Flores? In fact, we're still waiting to see how the league feels about Flores. But before coming to Minnesota, it was really only Mike Tomlin who was given Flores much of a chance. Tua was saying everything that he wanted to say, and Flores himself credited O'Connell to learning a lot from O'Connell as far as how to lead men and to create a culture and so forth. And so I'm just like, I think the fact that Flores is now being considered for a head coaching job, first of all, he's a tremendous defensive mind, but that's a testament to O'Connell. That's a testament to the coaching staff and development that's happening there. And I would love to see Flores stay. I'm nervous of what it's going to be like if he leaves, but I think he deserves a shot. And yeah. I definitely would not want to see him over O'Connell right now.
Yeah. I don't know that I have much more to add. Yeah, I think I would like to see. Yeah, it'll be interesting. They have a lot more, I think, cap space than some folks would like to give them credit for. In part because Luke Braun, I think you and I both saw this video. Luke Braun
Yeah.
did a kind of a breakdown of how much cap space the Vikings actually have between the inflation of the cap. What's it called? The cap limit going up every
Yeah.
year with the amount of money that the league makes. The cap space increases the more money that the NFL makes, and so that the the room you have to like sign people and stuff gets a little wider a little bit every year, but then also with being able to put money into void years and stuff, they could free up a lot of room for next year. So obviously we need to address like we need to address cornerback, we need to address safeties. I'm very curious what they end up doing with Hargrave and Allen. There's a part of me that's like not that worried because Jalen Redmond, Dallas Turner, some of those guys played really well. Um I I'm yeah, I'm not nervous about Justin Jefferson cuz he still played exceptionally for a wide receiver, just not as exceptionally as we're used to him seeing. Like he's still a top, even in
Yeah.
his like oh, this is a disaster season for Jets. He's still like top 10 or whatever it is.
But
But this
like,
team is kind of built around Justin Jefferson being great, and a young quarterback is going to need Justin Jefferson to be great. I do hope, like they indicated some that they wanted to get back to the way they want to play football, and I do hope that they don't just abandon some of the success they had towards the end of the year with like relying more on the run and stuff.
yeah.
I mean, obviously they're smarter than I am, so maybe they're trying to do something that's new and whatever. I don't know, but to me, it seems like they need to figure out some of the line stuff again, and then fill some of those holes in the defense. I think a lot of people want to move off of Hawkinson. I think he actually is better than people give him credit for. He didn't have a great receiving year, but he's also coming off of an injury, and um I've seen people point out how like great he is at blocking and stuff, and I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Going back to Jefferson, I was just looking it up because I remember Randy Moss kind of going through a lull kind of soon before. Now, Randy Moss put up his best career year in his age 26 season, whereas this was Jefferson's age 26 season. And so it wasn't. I mean, Moss with New England, Moss put up more touchdowns, but he didn't have as many yards as he did in 2003. Jefferson has put up more. Like he's had an 1,800-yard season, two over 1,500 yards, and one over 1,400, or another one over 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons out of 6 have been over 15 or 1,400 yards. And so, like on one hand, it's like, yeah, we're so used to him going off and having these big seasons, being, him and Chase, or him and Adams, or him and, somebody else argued over whether or not they're the best wide receiver. That was not this year, but it's also not uncommon for a star athlete who goes on to have a very fruitful career to go through lulls. And the fact that it came with a young QB like this isn't surprising. I think this is probably what you're talking about. That, and what I talk about is it definitely he seemed to drop more, and so he didn't seem to be quite as effective as we're used to seeing him be. And so and he's alluded to it. There's some off-field stuff in his personal life, and so it's kind of like, well, hopefully that doesn't, um, drift over into the next season.
Yeah.
But as you were saying, he is a human.
Yeah.
There are things happening in his life that
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. I think I don't really know, like it's I don't even know how interested I'll be in listening to all the like podcasts and stuff, cuz everyone's a little bit
I've
negative, and I just I'm not I don't need everything to be sunshine and roses, but um I just don't enjoy the sort of speculation. I don't enjoy living in that tension of
yeah.
like I come to I don't know that I need a lot of cathartic release from my Vikings fandom. I come to my Vikings fandom as my like cathartic release, and so if you're like making me more pent up about like angry at the coaching staff or something, then it's like, well, this isn't serving me.
Yeah, exactly. I I have quit listening to almost. I find it hard to get into any NFL. Some Rich Eisen stuff is still fun, but I don't know. There's just so much super hot. We say it every year, but it just seems to continue to get worse and worse. We need like these super hot takes and just stuff that's like you're not even thinking anymore about like you're just you just know this is going to get really a lot of views and
Yeah.
clicks right now, right off the bat.
First thing first
And I think it's making,
remains
yeah,
phenomenal.
it helps that most of them, their favorite teams are out of the playoffs, so
Yeah.
they have to,
Well, and
they have to stay kind of,
they do have like hot take culture. They still participate in that, but they clearly don't take themselves very seriously.
yeah.
I mean, I think they
I
would.
think they're phenomenal
I think they would argue
as
that they
a
do take
show.
themselves seriously. Like I think Nick Wright would say that he hates being wrong, but when he is
Yeah.
wrong, well, that's not true. I think there's times when he's wrong and he won't admit it because he still thinks he's right. But
There's definitely been some times where he kind of
yeah,
shifts what he was saying. It's like, no, you were pretty.
but he doesn't take himself seriously. I think like he has a
Yeah.
sense of humor. He
Yeah.
can take a joke. He can give it. And he's just I don't know. He's not everybody's cup of tea, and he hasn't always been mine. But I've followed First Things First since before, like when it was Chris Carter and him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to watch it. I came there because of Chris Carter,
Yeah.
and then he got fired, and the whole show completely shifted to.
Why did Carter get fired?
I think there's differing explanations, but it seems like he may have exploded on somebody one time,
Oh,
and
I
so
see.
they said, well, we will not be needing your services.
It is. I really enjoy the show. I think all three of them. I've tried. So Wright has his own. I guess I don't know if Bouchard has his own, but uh I can't think of his name now. The host, um
Kevin Wild.
the Patriots fan, Kevin Wildes. Yeah, he has a podcast, and I've kind of enjoyed it a little bit. But I think the three of them together make up a really good chemistry that is fun to whenever I'm needing to just kind of debrief from the day or whatever. I'll listen to. I don't. I'm just. I almost don't have a lot of expectations. Like it'll be interesting to see what happens with Flores. It'll be interesting. Like on one hand, I looked midway through the season. I was like, KO, you need an offensive coordinator. Like you need to stop calling plays. But then on the other hand, by the end of the season, I was like, he is brilliant.
Yeah.
And maybe his brilliance can still go to work.
I think the key to them will be can McCarthy improve and take on more of the mental load of his offense, and can Kevin O'Connell meet him where he's at while pushing him towards, while stressing him and building up his ability to move into his offense.
Yeah. And I like one of the things that makes me optimistic about JJ is he seems like a hard worker.
Yeah.
And he's that comeback against the Bears is, it's very ironic. The Bears have now become known for being the comeback cardiac Bears.
They learned it from us.
And it's great. Like maybe they'll go deep. Maybe they'll go into the Super Bowl. I don't know. But I think that part of JJ could be developed.
Yeah.
I think JJ has it in a way like we didn't see that from Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was great at putting up garbage time stats. JJ is what, 2-1 or 3-1 in prime time this year? Did they play 4 games or?
He beat the Bears, lost to the Falcons, beat the Lions.
Lions. Was the Lions game the end of the season? Was that that wasn't prime time?
End of the season was Christmas.
No, what?
At the end. Oh, the end against the Packers.
Yeah, that wasn't prime time. That was just
against the Lions was Christmas Day, so it was prime time because it was a standalone. But
that would have been Brosmer. What was I was thinking he had.
Oh yeah, you're right. That was against Brosmer.
3 games. Who was there Thursday night?
Chargers.
That was the Chargers. Yeah, and they got blown. Yeah. So maybe he's just 1-1 in prime time.
Actually, I have somewhere. I have the schedule.
The point I was trying to bring out is we see him in like key moments of the game be able to step up. Obviously, then he lays eggs in some games, so there's never you're never given the chance to have a key moment of the game. But that just gives me optimism for I think this kid can be developed further, and I'm not ready to move off of him. I trust KOC and the staff. If they bring somebody in, whatever, I trust them.
Dallas. Dallas was a Sunday night game.
Okay, yeah. I knew there was another one there. Excuse me. So yeah. I think that's all I have to say. I think I started by saying I don't have a lot of expectation. Like I don't even really know what I want them to draft or do or
I think
there's speculation that Grenard could be gone or you mentioned Hawkinson already in trade packages and so forth, but I'm just like people are throwing out trade Grenard and the 26 and 27 first round for Joe Burrow. And to me, that's laughable. Joe Burrow's had, not only does he get injured a lot, he misses the playoffs some. Now, again, we could debate whether or not that's all his fault because the Bengals have such a bad. But
Joe Burrow
if Joe Burrow
has not had Flores as a defensive coordinator.
Fair. But what if Joe Burrow comes and gets injured?
Yeah, then it would be disaster.
Then the window slams shut, and Kwesi traded away the first round pick of 26 and 27. Fire him! It's just like what
I don't like the idea of trading Grenard because I think again that human element. Like I think he's important to the.
Yeah,
I will
I think he's been a real mentor to Dallas.
I will say, like, you could maybe nitpick somewhat, but Kwesi's done a pretty good job at moving off of people, knowing when to move off of people. He hasn't done a super consistent job at who he brings in.
Yeah,
but like Thielen, I think it was right to let go Thielen. Thielen put up big numbers in Panthers, but we've been fine at wide receiver since Thielen left. We haven't missed Thielen. We didn't miss KJ Osborne. I mean, Danielle Hunter is playing out of his mind this season. I don't feel bad. Like I don't like Like he's one of the few ex-Vikings where I genuinely can root for him and not be like even Darnold. There's still this kind of like do I want to root for him, because then it's like if he wins the Super Bowl, there will just always be a question of like what if he would have stayed. Even though I wouldn't go back and
Yeah.
change my stance on Darnold, there will be that question. Whereas with Danielle
Yeah.
Hunter, I mean, I think it was a totally fair swap that we did. We basically traded for was it Cashman and Grenard, who came over
Bernard.
from the Texans,
Yeah.
and Danielle Hunter. I mean, they were free agents, all three of them, but it was essentially a trade. And
Grenard, let me double check this. Grenard put up as many, if not more, sacks last year than Hunter. Now Hunter did way more this year
yeah,
than.
no, I think with what we needed to do with our cap, I think it was a very good move, and I think that it's just working out well for both of them. If we would get like a really good trade return, I'd maybe be okay with Grenard. I just there is always like when you trade a proven commodity for a draft pick, you're basically trading away with hopes that you can draft or replace that person equally, and so there's always like this, man, like I don't know, is Grenard on the back end of his career? Probably. But I think his leadership is important, and with Harrison Smith likely retiring, you're gonna need an old head leader, someone who has heart and knowledge of the game and Flores' scheme.
Yeah. Danielle Hunter has put up. Why don't people talk about him more?
I don't know. Brett
he
Coleman
got off to a slower start than Parsons, but he's put up 4 consecutive double-digit sack seasons, and if he hadn't gotten injured in 21, he would have done it then as well. And he's had out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons, he's had 7 double-digit sack seasons.
The Brett Coleman, who has the bootleg football podcast, he posted about Danielle Hunter. He said he's one of the most underrated players, and if he would get a Super Bowl this year, he'd almost be a shoe-in Hall of Fame. I don't think he was very good.
Wow, interesting.
I don't think he was very good coming out of college, and someone was talking about how it's a testament to the Vikings coaching. I mean, to his hard work and also the Vikings coaching, in his early years, and I think that's the slow start that you're talking about.
It's very. I mean, he started better than Grenard. Grenard just didn't get near as many snaps either, and I don't know. I'm not looking into the details if he was injured and stuff there, but like both of them have very similar starts. Kind of wasn't till their 4th or 5th year till they took off and started getting into consistent 12 sack. But yeah, both of them had 12 sacks last year. Grenard was injured this year and only had 3, and Hunter had 15. But yeah, I find myself, let's shift.
Yeah.
Boy, we're running on 47 minutes here. We should have probably wrapped this up. Let's shift into our playoff kind of, we want to redo our picks. I find myself cheering for the Texans. I want to see Allen get to the Super Bowl. There's part of me that would love to see Allen have his chance at a ring. But I also think the Texans are a very exciting team to cheer for. Patriots are an exciting team. I like Drake May. I like Vrabel. I like what they have going there. It's just that they're the Patriots. And so it's like, it's like, why does it have to be them? Let me see if I can get to presenting here. So we, here, let me go to, we're going to discuss the way the season wrapped up concerning our picks. This is so frustrating. If only I had stopped Christopher's kick return at the 40-yard line. I mean, at the 30-yard line instead of the 40-yard line, maybe I would have been able to pull out the win. My browsers are choosing to slow. Why is it slowed up all of a sudden? This is embarrassing.
I would just like to point out that I had the Vikings winning out. I did
All along?
I did very terribly. The games I thought they would lose, they won. The games I thought they would
But
win, they lost. But
yeah.
right at the end, we synced up. In the last 5, I got correct.
No, you had the Lions winning on Christmas Day. In our actual picks, at least.
Oh, maybe I changed it. This is my on
That was at the beginning.
over here. I put a W.
So in week 17, we didn't do week 18, so we're not. There are 2 weeks I think that we skipped.
Oh,
Week 17, I went 8-8. You went 7-9. I end with 153 and 88. You end 154, 87.
all right.
Round of applause for you being. I won last year. You won this year, so I guess we'll have to do one more year to have a tiebreaker. Now let's go back. I want to present our Super Bowl picks. So we'll start with you. You had the Chargers and Bills originally, and then the Eagles and Bucks. Everybody but the Bucks of your picks made it. And then what?
Well, by now I only have the Bills left standing.
Yeah. The Bills are left standing. You're sticking with them. You say they're going to go to the AFC Championship and win. They're going to go to the Super Bowl against the Rams. And you have the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl. Now
not going to happen. Rams Bills would be a great Super Bowl. I'm not going to lie.
That would be a great Super Bowl. My boys were really wanting a Chargers Rams Super Bowl.
Oh, that would of course they did.
They originally I was like trying to be all objective. We were early in the season. I'm like, okay, who actually looks like they could win? And it's like I'm not just going to go with who I want.
Week 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. And so I picked the Chargers to beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. The Lions didn't even make the playoffs. The Chargers are bounced. And they were looking fairly strong early on. So this time I'm just flat out going who I would like to see. I would love to see a Bills-Texans AFC, and I would love to see the Rams versus the Niners in the NFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I could get excited about the Niners going and winning a Super Bowl, but I also would love to see Allen get it. I'm with you. I'm going to have the Bills win the Super Bowl.
Hey.
I guess there's nothing exciting here.
Luck.
We both have a Bills-Rams Super Bowl going on. So I guess we're not sold on the Seahawks yet. You're a little more sold on them than I am. Yeah. I think there's a chance the Niners could go in and beat them.
It'll be interesting to see how they...
Especially with Fred Warner coming back.
I did forget that Warner's coming back. Oh, excuse me.
So, yeah, it'll be an interesting interesting matchup for sure. But
has the potential of being one of the greatest overall playoffs that I can remember. I'm sure there was a good span of years where I really wasn't paying attention. But from wild card round till Super Bowl, basically you mix the bag up at all and they look like good matchups.
Yeah. It's been I was pretty sure the Steelers would get bounced. I was pretty sure the Packers would be bounced. Who else? Oh, Panthers.
The Panthers had
Chargers
had more in them than expected, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if that says more about the Panthers or the Rams. It'll be interesting to see. But I was curious to see how New England played against the Chargers because they hadn't faced a defense like that. Well, now I'm like, man, that New England team is fun.
Yeah.
They're a young, fun team as well. I mean, I think they could go the whole way. Anybody anybody really could go the whole way.
They always
anybody
say
standing right now.
They always say this weekend is the best weekend in football.
Interesting.
Oh, my daughter just woke up.
Yeah, I should get going.
I think because this is also the weekend that the national championship is.
In college.
Yeah, and it's also like the divisional round often tends to be pretty even. I would say last week, like, I mean, we'll see how this weekend goes. I'll say last week was phenomenal as far as like fun games to watch.
It was fun to sit back and watch good players play instead of being anxious and be like, man, is he going to do it? It's like,
took another
but goodness, there's a lot of good teams that spend a lot of time going 3 and out.
Mm-hmm.
That Eagles game was, I knew because I quit after the first quarter. I forget what we were doing. And then I came back to watch in the third quarter, and it was like still the same score. And I was like, oh, okay, the Rams or the Niners are going to come back and win, because the Eagles should have, the way the Niners were playing early on, the Eagles should have been able to separate themselves nicely from them. And yet they didn't. It helps when you can put 2 quarterbacks on the field and have a trick play to pull out of your hat. And they've done that successfully twice now. Okay, we will see you all.
Yeah.
We don't have anything on the horizon as far as when we'll record next, but join us as we anxiously watch what happens with the Super Bowl and in the off season, and whether or not SKOL Nation continues to be anxious and groaning, or if there's exciting things percolating. We'll see.
If you follow history at all, there's a pretty good guess.
Next year should be good.
It's true. NFC Championship, baby.